Okay, let's get started on this. Okay. I never understand why Twitch does that. It started running ads and then started running ads again. Okay. That's that. Different things. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to do a little bit of a exploration. Member only story. Order. Where order is. Order aggregate. I started down a path the other day, and the way I've been building my objects in my main code base made me question whether I should actually break them out into actual aggregates. And so my models that are stored to the database are still my models that are stored to the database, but my aggregates are the kind of combination of these things. And I'm trying to figure out if people have, like, this one is from Vaughan Vernon, who's literally written one of the key books on DDD. But again, this confuses me. Giving a state object subprogram. So product state is, so product is aggregate and product state is the data for the product. But why does product state have an ID then? If it's only ever attached to, unless that's what's stored. So product is the actual data. and the aggregate is a concept. Again, so product state. So yeah, products. So product repository returns a product. But then how does products that add product state? But then how do you hydrate new product? Oh, you pull the state out and create a product from a product state. Okay. So repositories become more complicated. But what if the product has like extra data? Backlog items. But that's its own table. Right? That's its own state object. Product backlog, that was a linking object. So again, this isn't going to how you would. I'm not looking for all the answers. I'm just looking for some sort of guidance. I did I typed something into an LLM just to test it, and it came out with something that came out as an interesting experiment. And I wondered if I could reorganize what I currently have as models in my domain into being aggregates, things like the planning item with requirements. I have a method on the planning item right now, so essentially my planning item is the data model I store and the aggregate behavior. So I'm just wondering about the exploration. But that is not the purpose of today's stream. The purpose of today's stream is drink water. So I need to review this PR, which I did, but again, I'm going through that effort all the time. And I need to pick what else I'm going to do next. Probably the UI for this would be the most logical thing, because then we've got a full feature. So let's get started on this. So the PR itself isn't that big. We created a new endpoint and we call it join. It is a verb. We are doing something, and ultimately it's a post underneath. This kind of makes it a little bit restful, I suppose. And you kind of join the group with the group code. And if we're not a valid user, we bail out with a bad request. If we don't successfully join the group, then we bail out with a failure. Otherwise, I'll start yawning. Awesome. Otherwise, return. Okay. On the group service, we have add new group. We changed account ID. User ID for account ID because it is an account, and we keep referring to it as account ID. Hi IPAX, how you doing? And that's just going to get confusing if I keep referring to it as user ID. So it's account ID. We introduced join group, where if the group is null when we get it by the code, we return false. If the owner is the account ID that we passed in, we return false because you can't join your own group. If you're already a member, so we introduced a get memberships for group, and if we're in there already, then we return false. Otherwise, we add the membership and then we return true. We added the membership to the context. and we have the repository changes. Again, account ID from user ID, so there's some changes there on get groups and get by name, and then we added get by code and add membership. And finally, get memberships for group to repository. And then the migration for the tables, navigation properties, etc. The model itself for membership. And then the methods on the actual repository, which are pretty simple. Get the context, and then, we obviously changed get by name because we changed user ID to account ID. But the other methods were get by code, add membership, and get memberships for group. They all came in. They're simple. Get the first to default with that code. That could be a challenge if we could generate a duplicate code, which I don't remember if we validated against. So if it's possible that we generate the same code, we could join the wrong group. So we'll have to look at that afterwards. So that might be a single default that we do there, because then if the code is actually duplicated, well, no, I think we have to do the other logic. So this should be, because this is quicker than a single default, because single continues to check. So add membership. We had that, we save the changes, and then get memberships for group. We go and find the group ID and get the list of memberships. Okay, and then finally the unit tests, simple unit tests, making sure you're joining and you're not the owner, etc., etc., etc. So, okay. So let's merge that PR into development. Let's delete that branch. That should close that. Yep, I closed that one. Let's pull that down. And again, I'm going to make sure that I update that. Confused Leo, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome in. If you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to ask or share. This project is about viewer participation. Delete that branch, make sure it's not sat out there. And I hope I have some commands working. I finally got some bot stuff, some streamer bot stuff in there. So this is the project that I'm working on right now. Okay, so this is not intended to be a real application. It's intended to be a project we work on stream. Nothing like, hey, this is a best practice. It's a kind of an exploratory thing, so people can, ask questions, grow, learn, share. If you want to get involved in the application development, you can go off and check out the branch and commit some changes back or practice that. All PRs are reviewed on stream. I don't do any code off stream for this project. The aim is not me doing the work. The aim is me kind of leading the work a little bit, but anyone else can join in. And there is a Discord attached to the stream that has some channels specifically for asking questions, discussion, etc. on the project. So I work on this project 2 days a week, Mondays and Tuesdays. Nice. I do that so that there's plenty of time in between me working on it for people to go off and do stuff and tinker with it. I work on a much more complicated, larger project in the rest of the week, but that is not open source. But yeah, That's so cool. I'm new to C#. Well, welcome in. Some background for me. I've been a .NET developer for 20 years. I mainly have worked in web development stuff. Did I break the database? Huh. Let's find out. I probably corrupted the database. It doesn't really matter. So, advanced build actions, anti-framework call, update database. What does that do? Does that run all the migrations? I think it does, yeah. So yeah, I might have been doing this a while, but I don't consider myself to know everything. You know, I still want to learn. I still want to grow. There's things I don't understand. There's things I want to understand. So, and I like to stream that stuff. So, it's very important to me to make sure that I don't pretend I know everything. And, you know, keep building. So we're going to run this. That should create our test account. So we should be able to go here. And there we go. Okay, now we're logged in. So we set our target for the day. 300 fluid ounces. We set our time zone so that we can track the time accurately on the things. We can go and log. I just drank 24 ounces of water, and it really, and our water consumption increases. And we can go to friends and we can add a group, and this is my best friends. We can add the group, and now we have a group code. So what we're going to work on today is adding the ability to join a group. So we'll put a pop-up up here that is join group, and then given a group code, you can join that group, and then that group should appear here. That is the goal of today's stream. So, again, the goal, the stream is not about me coding, about me achieving anything. If you have questions or thoughts, or you wanna dig in more, you're more than welcome to ask questions. You're more than welcome to begin a discussion. So what's got you into C#? School or just personal interest? Or game dev? If you're doing Unity or Godot, you could be doing C# for Godot and Unity. So game dev is also another valid reason. I need to learn some back-end stuff right now. I'm just doing web development work, so I need to learn more. Nice. Nice. The front end side of things is my weakest point. My main application is a lot bigger than this, a lot more complicated. But the front end is the scariest part of all of it. Okay, so we're going to take this and assign myself. We're going to move that into in progress. This is going to be number 29. So let's stop that running. Let's new branch, feature 29, join group UI. I'm working on getting a personal site UX better. I was centering a div for 2 to 3 hours on Saturday. Funny enough. Getting that div centered on all devices is not trivial. Morning Dota. Sorry. Yeah, I was watching One Line yesterday. And just the amount of energy he was putting into the CSS and like it takes so long to get good at that stuff, and you know, you're always fighting something. I had to use monofont. Yeah. I don't know. Like, given a design, I can go off and kind of implement a design. I can do that. It's not like I'm incapable of doing it. But will I implement it the best way? Will I be able to get all the mobile, the scaling things done without significant effort? I don't know. It's and it, you know, with the main application, I'm looking at reaching out and trying to find someone to hire to do an actual workup of a design, and I'll have to implement that design. That'll take a lot. Okay, so for this piece, we need to worry about the UI, right? So we have an API. The API has an endpoint for join, right? Join will join the group. So everything's good on the API side. So now we need to go to the client side. So the purpose of this, the way this application is designed is it is not a reference application on the back end. It is a, hey, here's some pieces that work together. You could do it this way. It's not the best way, but it's got room for improvement, right? It's got all the pieces that you could rearrange and change. But what it does establish is there's an API here for doing these things. You can log in, you can set your preferences, you can log your water consumption, you can add a friends group, and now you can join a friends group through the API, right? And it keeps growing as an API. The client is completely detached in that it only interfaces with the API. So if you wanted to come along and develop a different UI in a different framework, you're more than welcome to do that and contribute that to the project so that we can compare and contrast how you might do something in different frameworks. I believe Junicus is working on a React version of this client, right? So it's there for you to play with and there for you to take and tinker with if you're interested, right? It does not set any good practices. There is not a lot of really good examples in the code, but there is, you know, there is some usable code there. And the idea is that it's for discussion. It's for, you know, oh, I don't like the way that's working. Oh, we should do it this way, right? We all have different perspectives on how code should be written, on how applications should be structured, and this gives us an opportunity on stream if people want to do that sort of stuff. So in here we need the pages, and on the friends page what we want to do now is we need another button up here, button class btn actually we need another model. Let's do the code. Modal join model was no. Async task on show join modal click wait it's like it knows what I want to do. So we need another modal. Actually, let's fill this out so it doesn't click. Join group modal ref equals join model title equals join group. That'll work. It's like it knows what I want to do. And then we're going to, what do you not like? That's that. And then we need on join group click. There we go. So then our friends service here is going to need a public async task. So again, we're just kind of putting everything into big lumps of code. We're not necessarily trying to string code groups. We're not trying to make this about getting the perfect application stack, right? We're trying to make it so there's a workable application stack, and everything else is okay. If await friend service dot join group code async I mean, it's essentially the same thing. So when we join the group, we're going to go get like the groups, and now that's not going to be everything, right? This is going to take a little bit of setup to do. Uh-oh. That's that. That started up. Okay. Just because that's going to bug me. Let's fill friends. P X 2 PX2. That won't change that immediately, but it will change it afterwards. Yeah, see, it won't. So we join the group. So this isn't going to do anything. Right, that's actually a bad request because we're already part of the group. So, yeah, that isn't going to be. Right. So we need to register a new account. And Mr. Jones, good afternoon. How are you doing? So now we need to log out. Test at test.com. Bob. Go to here, join a group. Let's have a look. Let's see what happened. So that didn't close, so that didn't come back with anything but. So we go to our API, go to our database, memberships 112. There's our group. There's our accounts. So that essentially worked. Let's close that down. We don't need a data grip open right this second. So our membership record says that we are in there, right? Our query won't show that right now because getting the groups is not just listing the groups that belong to you now, right? So in our application services, we have the friends. We do not have the friends service for the group service. Again, we kind of some continuity issues here. So get groups in here in the in repository. So we go to the group repository here. Get groups lists all the groups. It does not list the group where you're the owner, right? It does not get all groups where you are also a member. So let's commit part 1. UI dialog. Right. So we do have that wired up, right? It might not work perfectly, but we'll work on that afterwards. Once we get the UI to show us that we've actually joined the group, that'll be a better thing to do. So what we need here is where the owner is the account, the owner ID is the account ID, or g.memberships.any. Now, did I join? I did not. So public virtual I collection membership. So we avoided doing this yesterday, but I think having that navigation property now makes a lot of sense, because the ability to join that query in there and say, hey, this group is actually one I'm a part of and I'm not the owner of it, right? Will be necessary, because then this code is valid, right? So for each group where we are the owner or we have a membership to this group. Tick, hello, how you been? Been a while. Hope things are going well. So we need a group configuration. That is an entity type configuration. Entity type configuration of group. That type, not that type. I took a break from socials for a while. Need to take some time off. Doing great now though. Awesome. Good to hear it. I can definitely understand that. Nice. That's impressive. it's valid. It works. So the group has an owner, and owner ID is the foreign key to the owner object, and it has memberships, where each membership has one group, and there's a foreign key of group ID from the membership back to the primary key on us. This isn't necessary, I don't think, but we'll go with it, and let's make sure that's actually in the context and not. Yeah, so it'll load the configuration, so we're good there. So now with the groups returning, right? The call to this, so this group is everything, right? So we can go to our group service here, where we get groups. Our group view model, public bool is owner, right? I think we'll do it that way for right this second. And we get the groups, and is owner equals g.owner ID equals account ID. Right. So we will pull all the groups now, because we're pulling any group that we are the owner of or a member of, and we'll now flag it as being whether it's ours or not. We could use this to show actions. We could use this to display the code. So if we say you can't share the code, I mean, you've been given the code to get there, so I don't think that'd be a useful thing, but it's just an idea. Get groups. So we have that. So now when we log in as our second account, we should see the group appear. And that should be all it takes. And this feature should be almost done. He says confidently, knowing that it'll probably get stuck on some random piece. There you go. Just to prove. If I'll log in as test@test.com. Password Bob. This is not my group, right? So if I had a group, randoms, right? And then I log out of this and I log in as test at nowhere, I shouldn't see randoms, right? But if I join the group randoms is now there. So we are joining the groups, we are adding the groups. Why is that not closing? So when we join the group here, we post and we return whether it's a success code or not. So that's interesting. It passes that even though it doesn't need it because it's in the URI. That's fine. So we got an error before, but that should be if true, do that. I mean, we could say That's not going to work. I'm not putting full validation in here, so that's just going to be fluent label. Core dot warning. Disabled. Huh. We're going to trigger that based upon something else, like that does not make sense. Try that. Might not be the best practice, but we'll see. So join group, blah, blah, blah. Invite group code. Unicus, hello, how you doing? Try and join this group again. So we just need to, when we're retaining the state. So on show join model. That always gets reset there. So working on adding the join button in just to move forward. So we try and join the group that we're already part of. We get invalid group code. We try and join any random code. We add a group. Next best group. Take that code. Log out there. Log in as Bob. Now there. Join group. Oh, I know why. The copy and paste artist is why. Watch. I'm a copy and paste. No, they auto completed that. I'm pretty sure. Either way, review code. Read what is automatically being put in, whether you're copy and pasting it or not. Don't be a fraud. So there we go. So join group. I had the wrong model. So now if I do green friends, we add that in there. We take that code, we log out, we log back in here. So we go back to friends, stream friends isn't there, we join the group. There you go. Ta-da, working. Yeah, I had the wrong modal referenced in here. So I've got two modals, the join and the actual add, and the join was referencing the add, so I would never hide the add because it was never showing. So yeah, just a silly error. Pebcac. So there we go. We've wired up the API we added in yesterday, and that is working. That is doing what it should do. We're now able to join groups and add groups. That is that feature essentially complete. Might not look pretty, but it is, and that is not, so it's not Tailwind style. No intelligence whatsoever on the. Is it ME? There you go, that's better. That's annoying. So there we go. We can now add a group, we can join a group. That's coming along. So let's make the PR and move on with the next thing right this second. So our group service, our group repository kind of go hand in hand. Our configuration and our group, right? So navigation property for memberships. Include add navigation group to memberships. The is owner flag is, like I said, it is unused right now, but that will be something that you'd probably want to know. Well, we will want to know later on, right? Whether we're the owner of it or not. So that will get returned down to the client as part of that model. Display. No, there's no display. Include groups. Member of the list. Oops. Okay, that's that. Modify. Right, and then join group. Add dialog and join group on API for join group. Commit push. Yeah, it could be used later to manage group membership so you can authorize people joining or remove people or even delete the group. Yeah. Yeah, so it can, other things will come off of knowing that it is that you are the owner of the group itself. So that's okay to leave in there. We can always indicate it for now as well, just to make sure that's something. But again, it's an API thing, right? So if you were building a client yourself, you might want to know that right this second, but you might choose to do something with that is owner, whereas I haven't right now. So let's go and do this. Compare and pull request. So we're going to do a compare. Now we're going to create a pull request. So pretty small PR overall. We have the is owner flag and some tabbing there, it looks like. We've put the buttons in there. We've kind of organized them a little bit to be a little nicer. Added a new modal dialog for adding the group, or joining the group rather. And then it formatted when I control KD'd, it formatted the stuff we did yesterday for kind of displaying the groups a little nicer. Adding the modal behavior into the actual UI side, into the code behind piece where we join the group, and if we can't join the group, our group is invalid and we show the error message. Otherwise, we go and get the list of groups again and hide the model. From the client service side, our friend service here, we join the group and we just post to that API endpoint we added yesterday. Configuration wise, configuring that navigational property from group to owner and group to memberships. Adding that navigational property of memberships onto the group object itself, and then modifying the get groups method to include any group we are a member of as well as the owner of. So that's what that does. And there we go. So that's the PR set out there. So, wow, we are having a productive stream. The next thing I could think of here is kind of this one. Being able to see the list of friends within them, right? I think that would be the next best thing. This doesn't matter anymore because initially, if you remember, we were going to do, hey, you send out an invite, an email, etc., and then whether they've invited or not. I don't, because we do the friend group code now. It doesn't really matter what that is. So let's remove that. I should be able to see the list of friends who have joined other groups. So what I'm going to do is going to modify this. We're going to make this about the API. I'm going to assign me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that PR out there. So anyone's more than welcome to review that PR. I'm going to branch off of that PR to do this next piece, I think. No, I don't need to. No, I don't need to. Unless I do the UI, this piece is completely independent, I believe. So I just modified that service, the group service. No, I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna have to merge that PR in. So it's not a big PR. I mean, I'm trying to do is make sure there's opportunities for people to review these processes, just as part of the stream, right? But I'll merge that in. We are reviewing it, so it's not like it's harmful. But if I pick up this item and don't merge that in, but work on that other one independent, then I will end up with a challenge. So this is stories are supposed to be independent. Stories aren't always independent though, because again, here I know there's going to be a conflict. If I go off and branch off my main or development here for that other story that I want to work on, right? I will be changing the same service I've just changed in this PR, right? Now, maybe I shouldn't have changed that service in this PR, right? Maybe that's the argument there. But that's a discipline thing that a team needs to kind of work on. Yeah. And the reality is people don't work that way. Because developers, even with the best laid intentions, developers will be pragmatic and they'll try and move forward and achieve something. In this sense, I needed to change that API side. Now, all I did was realistically, like, I could probably get away with it in that I've just added I've added a change to the groups here. So I've not changed the group repository much. I've only minorly changed the where is it? The group service. So there's minor changes. So they might not overlap. They might not even conflict very much. But it's kind of indicative of what really happens with these things, right? So yes, stories should be independent, but stories aren't always independent. And developers will often make that mistake because, again, that pragmatism will kick in. Oh, I'll just change this here. I'll change that there. And then you're going to do a PR and it'll conflict because someone else has worked on that thing or whatever. So it's why communication is important. It's why kind of figuring out what you should do and building good stories is important, because you can kind of work on some of these things. Okay, so join the PR to this story. No worries. Thank you, Dota. Have a great day of work. So I've reviewed this. I'm going to merge it. I'm going to merge it in the interest of keeping the repository clean. I don't think anyone's really going to worry too much about me doing that. And we close another issue out. And then this one is going to be getting the list of friends for this. It does mean that, again, if you're building a UI around this, if you want to go off and build your own UI, there's a richer API available to build that off of. So this is number 4. So I did this very early on. So let's check out development here. Update and pull the changes. There's our 8 files. Let's delete that branch. Again, we don't want that lying around. Let's create a new branch. Feature 4. List friends in group. So pure API changes. So basically, when we get a group, so suppose this is the question now. When we list a group, do we want to see all the friends automatically, or do we want to or do we want to do we want to see all the friends, or do we want to see a group, view a group, and click and drop into a group? I personally think it's better to have the list of friends with each group, because then you can display all of them. Because you're not likely to have many groups. You might have family and then friends potentially, and in reality, again, we're going to show kind of maybe not this fancy shot, but maybe a progress bar for each person, right? With some actions. So I think visibility is the most important thing here. You don't want to have to click in to navigate down. So I think getting the list of friends per group is part of the job of getting the groups, which again now reinforces that past decision, because now that decision to merge already, because we would have conflict straight away on that call, because it's the one piece of code we change if we do it this way. So I think what we need to do is in the get groups method here, for each group, we need to go and get the list of friends per group. So this would have public IEnumerable member view model. Is there a member view model? No, there's no member view model. It's making stuff up. So ultimately, we'll need to know. Well, again, I'm not trying to think about. I don't want to think too far ahead. It's part of the purpose of doing it the way I'm doing it here is to not try and jump too far ahead. So we just need a name right now. We don't need anything else. So let's do that part, right? We don't need anything more than a name. It doesn't need to be an empty collection. Right, but we don't need that right now, right? Because we don't have any of that ability. So this is just getting a list of friends. I should be able to see the progress on the friends is a different thing. So that is, again, that's a UI concern. But should I now make this story about the API? Yeah, very. But for the sake of moving the project along, should I stick to this just as being a list of friends, or should I actually make this more about getting the progress of each person towards their goal? And what sort of calculation effort does that take? Right, because if you remember, we have to sum up all the logs for the current day for that person. So I think it's kind of the naive one makes sense in the terms of getting it into the API. I'm torn. I'm torn in so much as I want to. I see the benefit in just doing this, but in the same, I also see the benefit in just getting that API in there. Because one can easily see where this is going. Yeah. So the next story to pick up then would be an extra story that would say, hey, when you return the list of friends, get the right. So the next one to turn around on would be that action. So if I do the naive one, then I have to add another item in here for doing that, and realistically, it's going to be me that does it, right? Well, there's a UI for seeing it, so there's a need to see it. And again, the reason I keep breaking the UI out from the API is because I'm kind of trying to keep to the fact that the UI is a demonstration, not an actual in step. So I don't want UI and API stories to always go in the same story. If there was only the UI and the API and like they were inextricably linked, then I would do this as one story because it would be a slice, right? It would be a get me the friends from the API, display them in the UI. But the UI is a demonstration of what the API can do. So I'm kind of keeping them broken out stories. So essentially this could be the API story for this UI story. So number 4 backs number 5. Hello, Hades. How you doing? So if I do the naive implementation, I've still got to do another story for introducing I'm good. It is Tuesday. The week is off to an okay start. And we've got some progress on water drink water, so yeah. So yeah, I think as much as I'd want to, Gina, because I think I'm getting better. I can definitely feel a difference. Still a bit crackly, but I'm yeah. Like, because I get that there's a lot of complexity in calculating that, and we might want to discuss different ways of doing that calculation. Let's create a let's get it in there, and then let's build on it. So now this friends equals repository dot. So this is the group repository. I love how I call it friends on one side and then group on the other. It's kind of very inconsistent. Something we should probably again review. Get memberships for group. G.id dot select new friend view model. M goes to ID equals M dot account ID M name equals M dot account dot name. That works, right? So now we have a friends So that might be it. So we log in, get our token, go here, boom. Account. Oh no, don't do this to me again. Yeah. Get groups. Repositories, group repository. Get groups. Get memberships that include goes to m.account. Well, we're still listing groups. That's a good idea. Good sign. There we go. Friends, friends, friends. Okay, so we have our friend test. Oh, that's not right. So it's great to get the membership, but the membership includes only those people that are not you of your group, right? So we need to exclude where you, because yeah, we are here. So this is us. So there's no extra friends in here. We're not the owner. Oh, yeah. So we need to include the owner in the list of friends and exclude ourselves. Huh. Design. So when I create a group, I own the group. If I add a friend, that friend joins and becomes a member of the group, right? So if I'm displaying that group, I can see my friend, right? So for this one, my best friends, I should see, if I'm logged in as user 1, I should see user 2 listed under here, right? If I'm logged in as user 2, I should see user 1, but I shouldn't see me and them at the same time, right? But because the group has an owner and only people who have joined the group are members, right? So the owner is always there no matter what, right? Right, but the problem is I'm also the actual friends includes the owner, right? I'm not the owner of this group. I am the owner of this group, right? So this one here, that's the other person, right? This is me in this group because I'm not the owner of this one. Therefore, I'm here listed in this one because I'm a friend, but they're the owner of that one. So I need to include the owner in the list of friends, and the UI, to be able to make that decision, the UI would then be able to say, okay, well, no, remove myself from the list, right? So what that should be is members So that wouldn't be friends. That would be member view model, and that should be members. And that way, we also need to include the owner of the group. So either we do it in get memberships for group, which I don't think is correct, or we join the owner account into this. It does make that calculation thing a lot more difficult, right? Because the calculation of the consumption, I mean, we technically have it for who you are. Yeah, I think the owner. So add memberships for groups. So if we go to the repository, so do you think when a group is created, the owner should be added as a member? So when we go to add new group, so we add the group. It wouldn't be easy to do calculations. The code is still valid for I'll fly right in the face of Michael Jolly's recommendations. Actually, yeah, Michael Jolly yesterday put out a video. It's very opinionated. Bald-bearded builder. I'll share the link. Look how that will affect the other stuff you just did. Talking about interrelated payouts. Yeah, this will massively change some of that other stuff. So it's still valid to say you shouldn't be able to enter your own friend code. That's still valid. You shouldn't be able to add yourself as a member of the group. It should be implicit. If we do this here, the problem is now we can't join the group, so we have to do this membership. That ends up with that. Yeah. Michael Jolly posted a video yesterday on the use of var. Stop using var. You can do that, but here you can't do that, right? You can do that, but what are you saving yourself, right? I personally prefer that. Yeah, he had some pretty interesting groups of people to lump people in with. So now we would automatically be added as a member of our own DB. I don't care as long as it's readable. And to me, that makes the most sense. Like, the problem there is that suggests a Boolean, right? So the var doesn't. So the type int is necessary from the IDE. My point was also that if you with Rider and if you're using ReSharper in Visual Studio, it will often prompt you to use var, right? Because if that's IEnumerable of something large, right, that's a lot of typing and it takes up a lot of characters before you get to the actual variable name. So existing group maybe is a better variable name, right? So it's, to me, it means thinking more about what you're naming things, right, than it is whether you use var or not. But thought I'd share the video. Okay, so this would automatically add us in as a member of that group, which means that this piece will always work now. And you could essentially have this flag actually you could essentially move that out, because that doesn't make sense now in there, but that would make a lot of sense in there, right? Because now that makes sense. If it's in the membership, then multiple users can be owners of a group, allowing them to later manage their group. Possible. But I mean, right now it's just an interpreted field, right? So it's not an actual flag on the, because the owner is attached to the group. Essentially, this is will owned by me, right? And that would be same field, calculated differently. I'm the owner. This is owned by me. You could use them differently. In the case of where you originally thought the feature, you as dad can be owner, but your wife as mom could also be owner, and kid one is just a member. Possible. Yeah. But again, the group doesn't really make that big a difference, right? So let's go and add. Oh, it won't create the database. Well, let's let that fail. I don't think. Oh, I do migrate. I was going to say you best be invalid. This reminds me of WhatsApp. Okay, so we can log in. We can set our preferences. Central time, Eastern time. We can add a group. Family. Okay, now we can register a new account, log in. That's our bearer token, and we can join that one. list my groups. We can go and get our bearer token back. List our groups, and there we go. That's completely invalid. Oh, that's calculated completely incorrectly. I'm thinking that registering an account should return a token already, thinking like registering UI. Okay. That would make sense, right? Oh, registering an account and logging in are not necessarily the same thing, but... Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. There we go. So the owner is ID 1. We are ID 2. Owned by me is false. There we go. So now we are automatically registered as a member of our own groups. There's our members. And there we go. So that is that story. So again, that's not the UI piece. The UI piece is separate. We have a need. Okay, so let's go commit that. To the biggest change. There's 2 changes in here. I wish you could kind of say, hey, this change, by the way, is part of this. Oh, you can. Okay. I did not know that was possible. When adding a group, add the user as a member of the group. That is impressive that I can do that. What Git feature makes that possible? Or is that a kind of... the ability to add changes in the same file as different commits? What Git command would I run to even do that sort of thing? Or is that just kind of Rider kind of giving me a little helping hand and making it 2 separate files? And because that's a useful feature. Select everything else is the get list of members by group. Well, I was able to select so I had 2 changes in the group service, right? One was to do become the member when you add a group, and the second was this code here. I checked the box and was able to just add this as a commit, a distinct commit, to say that adding the membership was this thing, and then I can make this as an actual separate commit. I haven't done that before. That's a useful feature though, because if you make multiple changes in the same file, you can actually make them as atomic commits. Which means if you wanted to undo things, you could do. You know, oftentimes they kind of get bundled up into the same kind of commit and it becomes a mess. Okay, so get list of members for group. Include the owner. Indicate search changed is owner at group level to be owned by me. Don't let me. Okay, that's that. Push. They're not necessarily the same thing, but thinking on the UI, when a user goes to the site, first thing they get is a login register screen. If they register, they can just be logged in if it was successful. Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely cycle around on that one. I think someone is actually trying to do the registration screen. So I'm kind of tempted to shy away from it. It doesn't really affect us in development of stuff, so. Okay, so that's this. That's watering water. That's that. We'll mark that as in progress, eh? Pull requests. Compare and pull request. So let's create this pull request. Okay. So a variable rename, again, on the topic of using var, making that more sensible. Existing group, if existing group is not null. So the code is reading correctly, that's right. Then we're going to create a new group. Calling that new group would be redundant. I think it's just not necessary. Thank you if you were watching ads. I do apologize. I do run them every 30 minutes. Newfoundland Ingalls family, drink water, water good for you, keeps you alive. Yes. Oh, that's sad. I thought that the YouTube chat was going to come through on the prompter. So my apologies if I didn't see your comment before, Newfoundlander. Five years this streaming stuff, and I'm still kind of struggling with it. Yeah. So here we do the members. We have the membership. Get memberships for group. We added the includes onto that as well to make sure that we pull those things, those navigation properties, and then we added the view model fields. I don't think there's much more to worry about there, so we're going to merge that in. Again, just moving the API forward. You know, if people want to pick up stories, the more API stuff that I get done, the more features are available to build. You can build your own version of the UI. You know, so if you haven't been in here before, this project is all about the stream, right? It's all about, I do only work on the stream. The idea is that if you have thoughts, questions, opinions, or you want to learn something from this, you can do. If you want to practice GitHub stuff like pull requests, etc., you're more than welcome to do that, making changes against the project. And, you know, not all PRs will be approved. But they will be reviewed on stream. So if you're feeling, hey, I want to kind of contribute something, but I don't know what to contribute to, the idea is that you can ask questions on stream. You can go into Discord and ask questions. You can, you know, show your interest in doing certain things, right? And if you just want to take the application code and look at it, go ahead and take the application code and look at it. It's there for you to take. We're not building proprietary technology here. So, okay, so we're down to 12 issues. Let's get that closed. Check out that. Update. 4 files. Delete that branch. Okay. So I'm not sure what else to pick up today. It wasn't loading, but I think it's ever since it's kind of been consistent. So let's give that a few tries and verify that one. Basically, every time I logged in, it was 0. But every time I've seen it since logging that issue, it's been set. So let's log some consumption, 24 ounces, 9%, shut down. It could have been a database issue. I've noticed the database can get easily out of whack. Yeah, it loads. Okay, so maybe it's not a test it nowhere test. Let's do log out, stop running, run. Test it nowhere, test. There you go. So if you log out, shut down, run, it doesn't load. I don't know how realistic of an issue that would be, but it is. I don't know how if that's necessarily. I mean, that's worthwhile. If anyone can validate that, you're more than welcome to go off and validate it, but it's something to investigate. Yeah. But only in that scenario. Whereas if we're logging out and logging in, it's for working fine. But then, yeah. Ugh, man. So we have. If I reload a bit, it'll show. Yeah. So we have friends groups. Obviously, we got to get the list in there of friends. We can add a group. We can join a group. The API supports listing the friends. Do we want to finish the stream with listing those friends? Maybe it is doing the init correctly, but because there is no login user, it fails, and on login, it doesn't request the data again. Maybe. Again, I'm not panicking over that because I know it's going to be something easily fixable now, but it's those sorts of things I'll leave out there because again, people can investigate them, tinker with them. Do what they like. I would say that since you worked on the API, you might as well get started on the change in the UI, even if they show 0 progress for users. Yeah. Yeah. So do we pick up this one? Do we pick it up as this, or do we pick up a UI that is no, because this assumes a friends list. So do we create a new item, a new story that is being that we don't have the friends percentage there right now, we could do a story that is just listing the friends. But do we just pick this up and then, because this is going to require the API change? Yeah. And if this was real, right? If we were working on this as a project, this actually matters, right? How we'd break the stories down, how we'd kind of break up the work, because adding the list of friends does have value. It just doesn't have yeah. So let's pick up this one. We'll assign me to this. This is number 5. Let's check out a new branch. Feature 5. Show. But this story can't be completed. That's not, by the way, that is not my intention. This encourages it's not a competition. I'm not trying to, when I kind of came up with this as a plan, the intention was not one of competition. It's of kind of shared motivation. But this very much relies upon see the percentage. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we're going to do it, but it is not necessarily how it will end up being. So we got a little while to do this in. Again, if anyone's new to the stream, if you're just joining, you're more than welcome to ask questions. This project is all about the stream. The idea is that I can run people through it. I can talk through the code. If you are interested, that's it. I wonder what happens if I do. That should trigger, right? I've got StreamerBot enabled, and when I do the water command, it should send a message both into YouTube and YouTube, but it's not doing it. I'll have to work more on that. What's your thoughts on TDD versus testing written code? TDD is a good practice to try and get into. You should definitely try. Realistically, sometimes time constraints and your ability to actually work that way will kind of fight against you. So where you can, you should come back and you should write your code in a way that you think it should be testable, and at least do apply tests down the line a little bit. Tests, I think unit tests are kind of they're a must-have, and on stream I kind of skip over them sometimes, especially in this project, because I don't want to make this project about the advanced nature of writing unit tests. Right, there's some examples in there. But I think they are an important part of application development. TDD. I don't think it should be a versus though. I think TDD where possible, but you know, always go back and try and write tests over code afterwards. +1 to the unit test part, yeah. What I'm thinking is that UI can be mocked independently of the API. Is that a valid thing? It is. If we were working on the two pieces and we kind of agreed upon an API, that would be valid, because then we know it would be there. My problem is that we don't have the API part, right? We haven't wired that part up or even planned to do that part as a separate story right now. So this story is not really complete unless that progress is in there. So the UI is built off of the idea that that progress will be there in the API, and it's not. So we can make it work, but yeah. I agree with having tests. My last project had no tests, and eventually it became a nightmare. Most projects will become nightmares eventually. Trying to stick to good practices, trying to make sure you're not trying to put too much stuff in individual pieces. It's why this application, you should not use it as a reference because it's doing this sort of stuff, right? Which some people like, right? I dislike this very much. Building these services, you can start to see how they're growing out of hand. And also my naming is starting to is getting disconnected here, right? You know, you kind of get oh, well, I'm doing this. So you justify where it lives based upon what is kind of involved in this piece. And the more you do this sort of stuff, that's what's going to happen. So these services eventually will grow to unnecessarily large pieces of code, and the logic will live in here, right? And this isn't very unit testable because if I need other repositories, right, I start to add more behavior in here, then this injection list gets bigger and the testing effort gets bigger. So, yeah. So when you're writing code, you know, writing small, manageable pieces is ideal. There is a paradox. If you start out hyper regimented and try to do everything the right way, the project never gets momentum. But if you go fast from the start, you end up with something you can't maintain in a year. Yeah, and it's why I've taken the time on the major project, right, to spend time going through and refactoring where I need to and where I've done some things the wrong way by my measure, right? It's a hard balance for certain, but I've not aimed at going fast through like this project. Absolutely, the goal is kind of go through fast because I want people to criticize, I want people to pick apart things, I want people to say, hey, why are we doing it that way, right? That's okay. No one has, by the way, right? I've done some very awful things in here deliberately and people haven't picked up on it, right? But they're there for everyone else to find later, right? The test for liquid gauge, did it finally get picked up? Is it in here? Looks like it. Learning how to write tests effectively has proven to be extremely challenging for me so far. Just keep trying. Writing effective tests is being honest with yourself about what are you really testing, why are you testing it. Yeah, so it's getting picked up and run. Yeah, right. Not every test is perfect, and some tests, you know, you look back on and think, why am I doing that, right? Style, I have a different style to some people, right? You know, my tests when generating group code is unique. When registering an account, password respects hashword pass delegate, right? There's all sorts of different ways. I will say outside tests are kind of crucial because I know my code will pass all my own unit tests. getting yourself into a practice of not rushing ahead. When you feel yourself saying, "Oh well, I know I need this," stop. don't write that code. Right? I did it yesterday. Like I don't know if you saw, but I was working on the groups, right? And I said, "Oh, when you're not the owner, oh no, when you are the owner, a membership record shouldn't be created, right?" But I wrote that, and it was kind of not the right test because I had to put the code in. So I stopped and wrote the when you're not the owner, it creates it, which then this test failed because there was no check. And I did the check, and now this test passed, right? So you've got to be kind of rigid with yourself about, the validity of what you're testing. There's Robert Martin goes on about testing the most delinquent case first, right? I kind of like the least complicated path first, and then the complicated rules come in. Don't start writing. If you start writing ifs in your code, like you're writing, oh, these are conditions that must be met for this to happen, then your test is going to be, again, it's going to pass because you've kind of written what you're going to write. And that's a very hard discipline to get through, is to write what you need and not what you know. Because sometimes when you get to the actual end, what you know wasn't actually all that you knew, or it is, and it's fine, but you validated everything. So, yeah. Okay, so layout, pages, friends. What's in here? Fluent. Also, if you actually are working with others, doing paired programming while you're writing tests is also kind of useful. That person sat on your shoulder saying, whoa, 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 we don't need that yet. We don't need that yet, right? That can actually help as well. UL for each var member in group dot members. So this shares the same view model, so we're okay there. Li. Span. Let's see how that looks. Nice. Thanks for the guidance. Gotta go. Have a good day. See ya. Take care, Hades. See you again soon. Have a great rest of your day. Are you saying bye as well, Leo? Maybe flex column on the outside. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of Contemplating the mess of CSS that I've just created. What do I actually want to see here? I mean, realistically, we want this to be kind of a header, and then the list to be actually inside the items, right? So maybe this isn't a ULI on the outside anyway. What is fluent layout? And this is, let's say this is a fluent card. Yeah, right. Yeah. These tools. There we go. Okay. So let's do this. Let's stop running the Blazor client. Leave the API running. Let's go and... I'm not messing around. We're going into Visual Studio. It's just too much of a pain. Okay. So at least hot reload should work. There we go. Okay, so let's close that one. And test at nowhere.com. Test. Friends, just a reference. There we go. I started doing .NET Watch no hot reload for Blazor, even if it's not as fast. I'll be honest, I do not enjoy the Blazor experience so far. No one's changing my mind on that one. Fluent header. Ooh. Like, I enjoy the Angular stuff is, it hit or miss as such, but the Blazor experience just has not been a good one from day one for me. Like, there's just so many things that go wrong with it, so many little problems. Yeah, which has not been pleasant at all. Okay, we're gonna leave that in there because it actually doesn't look bad. You know what would be good? Yeah, like Angular, the Angular stuff is super fast as well. So when I'm building the main application, that code is really nice. And I get the benefit of having like being able to use the same view model there. That was a benefit, right? Having C# code here is kind of a benefit, but the code you have to write for Blazor, the code you have to write to interact with the client, etc., is not the same code you have to interact with on the server. So you're not benefiting from knowledge of APIs, etc. You're benefiting less, if anything, because your worlds are blurred, and things you do in one piece aren't going to work on the other piece. So then you have to know about whether you're doing WebAssembly versus server versus whatever. It just gets a bit confusing for me. So it doesn't. All the pros of being able to use C# go away. I'm fine struggling through on TypeScript. If I have to. Oh, that was actually my Twitch dashboard that I closed before. Twitch TV Dashboard. Yeah, I think that'll work. So that's how you get one line to come out. If I was spent all day and I was working in this all the time, then maybe my experience is different. I've only used Blazor for small projects or for tinkering, etc. So, but I don't. There's no argument for C# for me, right? That is not going to win me over in terms of, well, it's C#, right? Microsoft have been wishy-washy on some of the pieces. They've flat out broken some of the pieces. Rider being a less than ideal experience with Blazor is not influencing my decision there, but it's like, I'm not sure I would build a full application around Blazor yet. And it's Web Forms 2.0. It's Web Forms the way they wanted to do it the first time. I'm still trying to figure out the happy medium for desktop UI. Yeah, you definitely know how to justify it. It really is your impression and experience with it. There is a way to write the Blazor code, so it's only one code base for the entire UI. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not. So all the architectural practices and techniques I'm using to build server-side code, I don't have that depth of knowledge on that client side, right? So I'm not really, again, I will never say that I am in any way, shape, or form an expert or able to really definitively say why Blazor does or doesn't work, right? So I will always defer to people like yourself and Deflux on that because you just got way more experience of it, right? The client side is not an interesting part of the application for me. If I could work with people who really knew what they were doing on the client side, and I could just do the back end pieces, I'd be so much happier, right? Because I get there's a value, there's a reward. And I just realized what time it is. There's a reward from being able to produce something here. But yeah, I just don't benefit from it as much as maybe I should. There you go. That works. I mean, that kind of looks goofy now, but I'm not sure that needs to be. A card. Maybe that could be a div. Class equals. Oh, what's py? No, it's not py in this, is it? M3. Let's go to that. Add a group. New group. I kind of like that. I do not disagree with that design. Holy moly, it even works there. Again, absolutely valid. I think you already have the noise surrounding how to successfully use Blazor, but no pressure to. Just wanted to indicate that. In my opinion, Blazor is a valid choice for new and or upgrade applications. Yeah, there's definitely some things that I would like to go into more, understanding wise, because it's pieces that just don't. I mean, I'm using it here in a disconnected manner, right? I'm using it as a pure. It's using API calls the same way I'd build essentially the same way I'd build a Angular application, right? I'm just making services to actually make those API calls, and I'm tracking models. I just get the ability to share the view models because it's all C#. So how to properly design and build the application. Like this is working so far, apart from some of those auth issues, right? I've had auth issues in every framework, right? I would doubt anyone doesn't have auth issues. You know. But it's, yeah. It's, how do I do font size? I want to make that bigger right now. Bootstrap. Blazor Bootstrap. Font. No, I'm not using mud. Layout, content, forms, components. No, not what I want. Just Bootstrap. Docs, content, typography. It's not a header. I don't want a header. Display headings. So is that like display or display 3? It's all like I just went all kind of Metro on it again. So as an example, all those client services bring their own library, and you use interfaces in the Blazor app using DI to inject into the Blazor UI code. Yeah, I don't think there is text to Excel. No, it's not that. 5. That's very. That takes me right back to Metro design. I wanted to just make that bigger. I don't really care about everything else, but that's too big. Bootstrap heading. They're not headings. I mean, that one possibly is. That's 2. There we go. Thank you, Unicus. Like that. Oh yeah. There you go. We'll go with that for now. Well, it's scaling, right? It's the same as this. 6 is small, it's big. 1 is biggest. It's not scaling. It's just that they're following the same pattern, I would imagine. Okay, so I'm going to leave that as is for that right now. Yeah. We need to kind of put some progress bar in here. Show some like progress towards that's okay with the headings, but for size, bigger numbers in for bigger size. Developers never consistent. Okay, so I'm gonna finish up here on this week's drink water stuff. I'm gonna leave this. I'll push this branch, but obviously I'm not gonna say this is finished. Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's just another thing that is something to learn, something to get used to. As you know, as in one line stream yesterday, be rude not to. And spending a lot of time on that styling and the layout and tinkering with all that stuff, and the CSS sheet is just growing, and I'm sat there looking at this stuff. I'm like, it just so much energy to get a style. Like if you get once you get used to it, and like well, and you clearly have a talent for that. It gets a little easier, but I just don't. Maybe it's because I don't enjoy it. Maybe it's because I don't enjoy chasing down, oh, what style should I use here and how should I do this? And I'm not very good at the visual design stuff anyway on my own. I can follow a design, right? That's not a challenge, but you're often given, when you're given an actual layout to work off of, you're given most of the numbers you need anyway. Are you drinking yet? Hi, Decidius, how you doing? I'm spending much more time talking, but yeah, I don't enjoy it either. But I really do want to get better, and that's my motivating factor. Yeah, yeah, and it's why I'm using Tailwind in the main app, right? Because the main app is something that I'm trying to build, and I know that once I get a design done for that, then I'll have to implement it. So my knowledge of Tailwind and my growth there will be necessary. Unless the application takes off, I make millions and I can hire someone to do it. I mean, who knows, right? But yeah, I respect the amount of time and energy you're putting into that, and maybe I just don't have the attention span. That's actually the real problem. But yeah. So so the next part to come to this is we need to show the progress bars. So we'll add in some progress bars next week. I'll push this branch just in case anyone wants to tinker and play. You're more than welcome to. If you do, obviously you won't be able to do any pushes, but you'll be able to. You may be able to do a PR, or you can do a. You can send some screenshots in the Discord. What I really don't have is a sense of aesthetics. For me, it's plain monofont, mono size looks good. Yeah, I don't. I similarly don't have much of a sense for that stuff. So something I want to, again, we have so much stuff. It's why full stack, why I believe that full stack is not something that we can realistically attain, like become really good at, because there's so much to do in modern app development. From the getting the requirements out to delivering a system to a server. If you say you're full stack, then you're really everything there, right? You are, your requirements gathering, you are analytics, analysis through everything. And yeah, I don't like that badge because it's there's a lot of those pieces I can't be good at, or well, I can be competent to get through them, but not good at. And that's the problem when we're building applications these days. We start building all this stuff and we start adding more tools to make things easier, but then we don't become experts in those tools. they become a challenge, right? Because you can't be excellent at everything. Very few people can be excellent at everything. There's going to be weaknesses and gaps. Once I go back to working at RMA, I'll let you decide whether what I do there is full stack. Okay, not that I'm counting, but 4 more weeks. Nice. That's hopefully that's a good positive change for you as well. And yeah. But anyway, that is that. That is me. Let me just push this now so that I can add some styling to show friends. Okay, and I'll push this branch off my machine so it is there if you want to tinker with it. Frankly, I'm surprised the liquid gauge turned out as nice as it did, and it's just an SVG. It's awesome. I love that. That was a great addition to the application. You know, yeah, that is Napalm. Good morning. How you doing? But it is 9:20. I am overdue. So I'm going to raid us out right this second. My apologies, Napalm, for you joining and then me leaving. Yeah, we got some progress made today. We got the friends groups. We got the friends displaying. We are able to join a group now. We can, add groups. You can join groups. The code is all there if you're interested. Everything is up on the GitHub account, including this branch that we're kind of tinkering with now. Tomorrow I will be back. We'll be working on Liquid Sky, which is a whole different ball of wax compared to this. A lot more moving parts. If you haven't been here before, that is a full a distributed system using Kafka, Service Bus, and SQL Server, and Angular as a client, with GraphQL as backend, and a lot more moving parts to that. Last count, 48 projects involved in that project. So, yeah, I will be back on that tomorrow. I'll be returning to this next week. We need to make that code a link and add a QR code. There you go. Nice. Add the suggestion if you want. More than welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for the stream. One-line, thank you for coming, hanging out. Thank you for the contribution to the Blazor discussion. I appreciate the two-way conversation that we can have over Blazor. So yeah, so we're going to raid Full Stack Live. Full Stack Live is a very experienced developer, does a lot of DevOps stuff, a lot of stuff like that. Also a great person to talk to and have a chat with. Yeah, I will be back tomorrow with Liquid Sky. So thank you all. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you again soon. Bye all.